Hi everyone, I'm Victor Henquel. I'm a student at Edinburgh Napier University in civil engineering, and I'm as well a research assistant at the Center for Fiat Constructions and Innovative Structures. Today, I'm going to show you how to use SketchUp Pro 2020 as well as Layout 2020. So after this video, you'll normally be able to create a component in SketchUp, create an object to be able to move within the software, as well as move objects and components within the software. And finally, you'll be able to create production drawings within Layout. So here we are in front of the window you're going to have when you're going to open the first time SketchUp Pro. You'll see different templates you can choose. I'm kind of used to use the millimeter one, so we're going to go for this one. So before starting, all the tools and features I'm going to present in this video are available from a SketchUp Pro account, but most of the features are available from a free to access SketchUp account. So here's the view you have when you open SketchUp for the first time. So you have two different trays, a main one with the tools you have and another one on the right side. If you want to have more or less tools within this ribbon, you just need to get within the view taskbar, toolbar, and just choose which tool you want to have. So the first thing we're going to do within SketchUp is creating a surface. So either by using lines or directly a shape that we can choose from a rectangle, a circle, a polygon, or any type of shape. So let's create a rectangle. As our current shape is in 2D, we want it to become a 3D object or component. So we're going to use the push and pull tool that allows us to extract any kind of surface. So let's just left click, push pull, and now we have our shape. Now that we have our 3D shape, we want it to be an object or a component or a group. So by selecting everything, right click, make a group or make a component. Both are quite different, where a group is just grouping lines with no features within it, with no quantities, with no properties, whereas a component can have properties such as length, width, color, material, or like any kind of properties you want to input. So let's just create our first component as test one. So now that we have our component in SketchUp, I'm just going to show you how to copy paste things, scale, rotate, or move your component within SketchUp. So just by using the tool move right there, you just can select any kind of corner in your object and just move it. As well, as you can see, there are like, in this case, a green dotted line, or in this case, a red dotted line that follows the point I have clicked on my component, or as well, if you can see there, a blue dotted line that follows the blue axis. So as those are following the axis of my model, I can just move my object, component, or entity, or any kind of object within SketchUp following those. And as you might have seen on the bottom right-hand corner, there's a distance in millimeter that relates to the distance I'm moving my object. So I'm just going to move it by 2 meters then. There you go. Also, the benefit from having a component within SketchUp is to, when you have to create multiple objects, and if you want to change the dimension of it, and you don't want to change them one by one, you can benefit from using a component. So after seeing how we can move an object or a component within SketchUp, I'm just going to show you how to copy paste. I'm just going to move it sideways as I just did. Click Control as well at the same time. And as you can see, another object appears, which is literally a copy paste of my other component. And in this case, if I want this component to be pasted, I don't know, maybe 5 times, I'm just gonna go there, keep pressing Ctrl, then moving your objects to the right, click, I don't know, 2 meters as I just did before, and multiply it by, I don't know, 5 times. And here it goes. So you get 5 different copies from this component. So that can be useful if you want to kind of create multiple components. The benefit from using a component rather than a group is its capacity to change all the related entities. So for example, I'm just going to click one of them. So this one, for example, go with the push and pull tool as I just did before. And just as you can see, each of them are changing at the same time. So it's quite useful if you want to make change easily and rapidly on the same component. But now imagine that I want one of these components to be a bit different. So rather than creating another component, I'm just gonna go on this one, right click, and make it unique. Then I can modify this component and it won't affect physically the other component that I had before, as you can see there. But all others are still the same components and relate to the same properties. Other benefits from using components is their capacity to have different attributes. So just by going in there within the component options or component attributes, so these attributes of the components are dynamic attributes. So means that they can be programmed and dictated by other properties of any of my entities within SketchUp. Let's just start by clicking the plus button in there, and you'll see that you can have a name, have description, summary, as well as the position, the size, the rotation, the different behaviors, or any custom tool that you want to add. So I'm going to show you basically the sizing properties, where this one, for example, have a length in X, a length in Y, and a length in Z, which each of them have a proper dimension. So as an example in there, we're gonna go with our length, I don't know, with our length Z, for example. So we're gonna make this as user can select it from a list. So length Z, then we'll add different options of size, for example, 6 meters, then I don't know, 8 meters and 10 meters. From there, you see that there's no physical change right now, but if we're gonna open our attributes window, we see that length Z had appeared and that we can choose from either 6 meters, 8 meters, or 10 meters. So let's just choose 6 meters and then click apply in there. And as you can see, it directly changed from, I don't know, maybe 3 meters to 6 meters. And if I want it to be 8 meters, I'm just going to choose 8 meters then. And that's how you can add an attribute to a dynamic components within SketchUp Pro. Another useful tool that you can use if you want to modify the shape of an object or of an entity of anything within your model, you can use the scale tool that stretch and scale your shape within SketchUp. So for example, if I want this one to be stretched along the green axis, I'm just going to go there, scale. And as you can see, there's little green boxes that appears all around it. And if I want to just scale it a bit, quite useful. If I want to increase the size of each of them, and just thinking that those aren't any more dynamic components, if they're all different, rather than doing them one by one, I can just go select all, go scale tool, and just by left clicking on this green box that goes red now, just going there, and they all change at the same time. Also, as I explained how to copy paste an object or a component within SketchUp, I'm going to show you how to move efficiently your components within SketchUp. So as I explained before, there are your three different axes, and sometimes it's not that easy to be able to move your object in one direction or another. So if you want to constrain your component or object to a direction when you move it, you have two different options. You can either move your object and see there's a line that will look, a dotted line. So for example, the green dotted line, the red dotted line, or the blue dotted line. So by clicking on your keyboard, the Shift key, you'll be able to lock the direction of your movement. Another tool that you can use to move your object efficiently in SketchUp is the arrows on your keyboard. So for example, if I'm clicking on the right arrow on my keyboard, it goes along the red axis. If I'm clicking on the top arrow, it goes along the Z axis, so the blue axis. And if I'm going on the left arrow, it goes along the green axis. So it's quite useful. You can either use your arrows or the Shift key to lock a direction, and then you'll be sure that your objects or anything in SketchUp will move on the right direction. So now that you know how to create a component or a group or any entity in SketchUp, as well as how you move your component in SketchUp, I'm gonna go on to the next and final part, which is the creation of drawings on layout. So I've created an open timber frame panel as an example to create a production drawing from this one. So first, it's important to understand that both SketchUp and layout are linked, and that SketchUp is a way to model your entity, and that layout is a way to represent it in an efficient and comprehensive manner. So it also means that your physical components, so such as this timber frame wall or any of the components we've created together, are going to be linked directly to our layout file. So to have your object move to layout, you'll have to go there and send to layout. So when you arrive on layout, you'll have your template that relates to standard size of paper. So whether A4, A3, or any type of paper size you want. So it's literally the document you're gonna have if you print it directly afterwards. So the view you're gonna have in layout is a direct view you have from your SketchUp model. So as I was facing my timber frame wall, the same pictures came along as I'm facing the timber frame wall. To be able to have our proper drawing made, we want to change the background color of it. We want to face this panel. So we have to come back to our SketchUp model and create a scene that I didn't present yet. So a scene is a view that you have locked and that you can access anytime you want. So for example, if I want to lock this type of view of my timber frame wall, I'm just gonna go there, scene 1, and then I'm gonna go there with the scene 2. So here we have our view of the timber frame panel. But in this scenario, we still want our panel to be white and our background to be white. So there's a part of SketchUp called style, where you have different styles of what your model is looking within SketchUp, and I want mine to be totally white. So I'm sure there's presets already created, but I'm just gonna go creating a new one. So within styles, you go edit, and you have different options in there. So face settings, background settings, watermark, edge settings. And I'm gonna go within background, where I'm gonna go all white for the sky as well. I mean, there's no sky now, so we'll go white. But there's still this green axis that I don't want to see from my drawing. So I'm gonna go back to modeling settings and just unclick the guides in there. No, sorry, not the guides, the model axis. And there we go. We have our white background with our white wall. From now on, we want this view to be saved. So we're going to create a last scene. And as you can see, when we create this new scene, it asks us if you want to create a new style from what we've done. So literally having a style that gather a white background, no sky, and no model axis. So we'll go for a yes and create a new scene. So now that we have our scene, we are gonna export it to layout. But rather than going with the send to layout tool, we're gonna go save with our model and then come back to layout. So we're gonna go on our model / our view and go left click on this, right click, and go update model reference. So what it means is that it adds all the properties and all the attributes that we did update within our SketchUp model in there, and that directly update it within layout. So with our view now in layout, we want to add dimensions, add text, what the scale of the drawing, what's the name of the drawing, what type of panel it is, when it has been done, with which company, etc. But before doing any of this, we need to know the scale of this panel to know if it's a scale of 1 to 20 or 1 to 30 or 1 to 25. So we need to go in the SketchUp model toolbar in there and go there and see there's preset already of scale. And we want to go for a millimeter, 20 millimeter, maybe more actually. Does it fit? Yeah, it does fit. Yeah, it does fit perfectly actually. So with our drawing at the right scale, we now want to add dimensions to it. So literally each point of our model can be clicked on, and for example, if I want to have the spacing between those two studs, that's right. So like just left click, and you have your dimensions. So now that we have our timber frame panel with dimensions, we want to have a template that explains all the specification of our panel. So I'm just gonna go rectangle, wraps around it, and as you can see, it just hides our production panel. So we're just gonna go arrange and send to the back. So as you can see, I've directly created the drawing template with the project name, panel name, scale, company, etc. Now with this tutorial, you're kind of ready to create any production drawings, any dynamic components, or any type of object within SketchUp and Layout Pro. So thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed. Cheers.